Hi everyone. So I want to share with you an experiment that I did yesterday that was super interesting. So I basically went to have breakfast with a friend, and my friend, he's someone who doesn't talk that much and is very comfortable in being silent. And yesterday we had breakfast, and at one point there was like this blank in the conversation, like no one was talking. I went to my head and I started to see my thoughts, and I started to see what I was thinking. I was thinking about saying something to fill the blank because I was going to feel uncomfortable. And so at this precise moment, I realized that I was avoiding silence. And so I chose to do something different this time, which is basically staying in silence. And my whole experiences changed because I could see other thoughts coming up after being in this situation for a while. So there was like this feeling of like, I don't like to be like this, I don't like to not talk, like this. The silence was like weighting me down. That was so interesting. And then I decided to stay with my feelings and feel them, right? Feeling what I was experiencing in this precise moment. And then my feelings went away, and some other thoughts came up, like, well, I'm really getting bored right now, so I gotta do something, I gotta speak, right? So that was also very interesting because I also realized that for me, silence equal getting bored, right? And so I saw this thought, and then I thought, okay, that is interesting. That means that I'm being bored right now. I am boring because I was considering silence as being boring, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm being bored. I got to do something. I got to speak. I couldn't stay with boredom. And so I decided to let this thought come up and stay with boredom. And so boredom passed. And after that, I had another thought coming up, which was, oh my God, all these people around me, what are they going to think? Like, they're going to think that we are here in silence during breakfast. This is so weird. This is so awkward. I don't want to be seen this way. I am the first one who judge other people who are in a restaurant doing, like, basically not talking to each other or being on the phone. And now I'm not on my phone, but I'm doing the same thing, right? I am just experiencing silence, and I don't like this. So that was so interesting because after that I saw like my own judgment coming up and the judgment of others and what I was fearing, right? And I decided to experience this. I just stay here and experiencing all the feeling of rejection and all of this that I was feeling. And after that, silence came up again. And my friend was still being silent while I was like leaving all of this in my head. My friend was so silent, and that was so interesting because he was being super comfortable and I was the one with my craziness in my head, right? We left, and then another thought came up, and the thought that came up was, oh, I need to speak, otherwise like he's gonna think that I'm boring and he may not be friend with me anymore. And that was also so interesting because that was another fear coming up of like, well, if I stay silent, then he's not going to be interested in me, right? So I decided to let this fear coming up once again, and then silence came back. So all of this to tell you that this practice of being silent and staying silent for a while taught me so many things that I will have never thought I will see for myself. I will never thought that I will have this type of thoughts coming up. So I really encourage you to do this practice because I've learned so much about myself and the fears that I have and how and my reality of the world at the same time. And I mean, you don't have to do that for a whole day. I just like decided to experience this in this moment where I was having breakfast and do something that I wouldn't usually not do, right? Which is staying silent. And so I really encourage you to do this practice and see what comes up for you, because this is an amazing way to stay to be conscious of all the fears that you have and feel them one by one until they disappear, because at the end of the day it's just fears, and fear are not staying. Those are just scenarios that we create in our minds to stay safe.